This unique looking two-tone design phone is the new POCO X7 Pro. It's packed with a lot of performance thanks to the new MediaTek Dimensity 8400 Ultra, and for the price of just 1,499 ringgit Malaysia, this is an amazing phone to get if you are looking for a budget mid-range phone for gaming. So hit that like and subscribe button as we've done a lot of tests on this phone and we're going to tell you all that you need to know about this new POCO X7 Pro. Starting off, that design. This is certainly unique because it is some sort of PU leather material that is slightly squishy, and the bands for the yellow section here, if I brush my fingernail on it, I can definitely feel the ridges. It has a solid metal frame as well, so that is actually very good. But what surprises me the most though is the performance. The POCO X7 Pro is powered by the latest MediaTek Dimensity 8400 Ultra chipset. The Ultra here doesn't mean that it has extra performance over the base version Dimensity 8400. It just means that POCO has tuned the phone to work better with the chipset to provide better night videos, and that's about it. Anyway, the performance from this chipset is surprisingly good. At the high graphical preset for Genshin Impact, we are getting around 60 FPS at first. Eventually, it did thermal throttle somewhere to around 44 degrees Celsius only, and that is the thermal limit. Then it drops to around 45 FPS, but it is considered good as it maintained that frame rate throughout the entire session. We also tried it with medium graphical setting instead, but the same thing happened, so it doesn't actually matter if you're using it in medium or high graphical preset. For Zenless Zone Zero though, this is another demanding game, and we tried this game using the medium graphical preset at first, and it managed to sustain about 30 FPS during the most intensive fight in the game. And there were no frame dips or stutters. It managed to maintain the frame rate, and this is also very good. What I'm impressed by is how the temperature across the entire phone is only at around 41 degrees Celsius across the entire device. It shows that the cooling system is indeed distributing heat equally across the entire device. By the way, there is another power profile that we can select. It is called Ultimate Mode, and it used the same result as the balanced power profile, so I don't really know what it actually does, but the end result is the same as the balanced power profile, so I'm not even bothered to mention or test it further. How about the battery life then? Well, the Dimensity 8400 is only having Cortex A715 cores, and all of them are at different core clock speeds. With its 6000 mAh battery, this phone can last for around 13 hours and 16 minutes. I was certainly expecting more out of such a large battery, but this is what we have. The POCO X7 Pro also comes with a proprietary 90-watt charger inside the box, and it still uses a USB-A port in the year 2025. With the default out-of-the-box setting, the charging speed is decent and it took around 47 minutes to charge from 15% to completion. There were some parts of the charging curve where it had to throttle the charging speed to prevent the battery from overheating. If we head into the settings menu, we can enable the fastest charging option possible too. Then it can charge even faster from 15% to completion in just about 34 minutes, but the battery temperature will be very high, nearly 42.5 degrees Celsius until the battery is charged to around 60%. Unfortunately, the POCO X7 Pro still lacks proper USB PD-PPS support. When we plug it into our Ugreen charger, it only takes in a maximum of 27 watts, and it takes around 55 minutes to charge from 15% to completion. Not the worst, but it certainly could be better. As for the screen, the POCO X7 Pro has a 6.67-inch AMOLED screen with a resolution of 2712 by 1220 pixels, and it also goes up to 120Hz refresh rate. From our tests, the highest brightness that we can get is at around 1000 nits, and that is quite commendable because if you want to use this phone outdoors, it should be no problems at all. And like many other newer smartphones, it has a few color modes to choose from. We have the default one, saturated, and also vivid color profiles. The default color profile is actually quite good, though many people will say that it lacks oomph since the DCI-P3 color gamut coverage is only at 68.69%. It is not going to be that vivid in terms of the colors. The saturated color profile will be covering both the sRGB and DCI-P3 color profiles to nearly 100%, and it makes the colors pop. While the delta E number is high, I do believe that there are not that many stray numbers with that high of a delta E number since the average is so low. The vivid color profile is not as saturated as the saturated color profile. Kind of obvious here, so it kind of depends on what kind of personal preference that you have. Personally, I'm going to use it in either vivid or saturated color profiles only. The default one just looks a bit weird, though some people might prefer not so saturated colors. The POCO X7 Pro is running on the latest HyperOS version 2.0.5.0, and it comes with a bunch of differences compared to what we had previously. There are a lot more fancy animations, which I immediately realized when I first picked up the phone. And it comes packed with a lot of AI features too. We have the usual AI notes, AI picture editing features, AI recorder with speech-to-text transcription, AI summarization, AI subtitles, which is actually a real-time translation from any audio source that is played on the phone, including voice calls, meetings, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or even YouTube videos. And we can also select it to translate audio from the microphone as well. And there are a bunch of settings to play around with, and this is actually a very good feature. There's another interpreter mode that actually does what it does, just translate a bunch of languages back and forth. It does, however, still have a bunch of bloatware, and it pushes ads via the notifications from the Get Apps app. We can at most disable notifications from that app, and as annoying as it might seem, that is the only quote-unquote fix that we have for this issue. Now let's talk about the cameras. The POCO X7 Pro comes with two cameras, and the camera bump is surprisingly tiny and aesthetically blends in well with the phone's design. So how's the picture quality? Unfortunately, I didn't get to spend much time with the cameras, and from what we have captured, the main camera looks good. The clarity, colors, and exposures are good. The ultra-wide-angle camera, though, all things considered, it is okay for social media usage. If we view the picture on a larger screen, then the shortcomings will reveal itself. Not really a problem, though it is something to keep note of. Of course, the POCO X7 Pro comes with a USB 2.0 port at the bottom, and it does not have display output via that USB-C port. Pretty common for a phone of this league. It also does have double SIM card slots but no microSD card slot, and it still has an IR blaster at the top, which is convenient to control stuff around the house. Plus, the POCO X7 Pro is also rated for IP68, and that is actually great. So, should you buy the POCO X7 Pro? One thing that I'm most impressed by is actually the value that it provides. At this price point, such performance is actually gonna make this phone a really good value. The prices of each variant of the POCO X7 Pro are as listed on the screen here, and hey, if you can score it during the early bird promotion, then more power to you. At that price, this is an amazing mid-range smartphone for gaming. And that is all that we have for you today. Do like and subscribe, as we will have more gaming tests and reviews coming soon, because January is always busy for us.